to that. I suppose the thing that, from a sales perspective, we should do better in improving the relationship is having a better understanding of the marketing goals and objectives and what they're aligned to, and also listening more to where they're going and their direction, coming up with the trust, and building and trusting what they are saying and acting on it. We'll talk about leads. But also I think communicate. It's all about the communication. It's having those open dialogues, being two-way, I think, which we both actually said that's what we need to do in our presentations. But it is to have these dialogues and for us to share with you what we think you can help us with. And then when you provide that, trust you that that's actually going to work for us, rather than going, another bit of print.
I think, I would say the same things, really. I think it is about trust, it is about communication, it is around, common goals. And if we get those right, then we've got to be hopefully batting in the same direction. I think another word, which again is that awful L word, the lead word, is around common terminology. I think we both have different definitions of what's a lead, what's a pipeline, what timelines expected, etc. But it is, as Paul said, it is around let's set a very clear plan what we need to do. Let's play our individual roles in that, and then together we will be successful. And then also, let's celebrate success together. And I think, on a personal level, I think one of the big wins that we had between sales and marketing within Fujitsu was that we celebrated wins together. And that created a relationship and a bond that we'd like to drink more champagne, please. Still not been to Mallorca, but hey,
On the budget front, maybe I've been fortunate. None of the organisations I've worked for or been involved with had a budget for fun stuff, incentives, or discount. I've always carried targets which were very revenue focused or margin focused, or revenue with a margin. We had a limit. We knew what we were to go to. And my personal view is, and I'm a sales guy, don't tell the sales guy how much it costs. Don't tell them what the margin is. Actually have a pricing team that manages that, because then you have experts who know what they're doing, who understand what the competition's doing and what the market pricing is. So don't leave sales guys to actually set your market price, because that's a dangerous road to go down. Because, some of them will give it away.
So I've tried it, and I've never been allowed to get away with it. So, in terms of the pots that we have a bid budget, which is the money we spend bidding on something, and that will be a percentage of the size of the deal, 1%, 2%, whatever it happens to be. Then there's a marketing budget, and then there's a pricing budget in terms of margin. And I've always argued that actually, if you did bring those all together and you played, you said, okay, I'm going to have a much higher win rate because I'm going to lower my price, or I'm going to be on more long lists because I'm going to spend more on brand advertising, or I'm actually going to put all my money into sales, and then I'm going to have much more certainty on the ratios. I've never been able to have that conversation to the degree where someone said, okay, we agree with you. So generally, everywhere I've worked, we've had them in 3 separate budgets, and 3 separate directors have all argued why theirs should be bigger than the other one, but never has anyone agreed why they should relinquish some for the benefit of the greater good.
Okay, it's quite appropriate, because it's what I do now. I go back and tell people what they should do in this scenario. You are right. A lot more business is moving to online and transactional based, but it depends on the market, the segment, the product you're selling. One of my clients, I'm actually just looking at restructuring their sales engagement. They're running a one-size-fits-all to their customer base. They have the same engagement for their sales team for all of their customers. My advice to them is that they need to segment and profile their customers into what type of relationship the customer wants and the product or solution that they're buying. And depending on who the customer is and the engagement and product they're buying, you need to address them with a different sales proposition. So whether that be an online self-service transactional presence, or whether that be the full engagement of consultative selling with value propositions, as I spoke about in my presentation, it's very dependent on the client. And I think most companies need to address who their customers are, and what they're buying and how they buy. To the point that the client I'm working for has customers who are very large telcos. It's fully contractually agreed. So the salesman work was done. They did the sale. It was a contract relationship. There's an agreed price, agreed discount. That's life. It's now transactional. Sales guy doesn't touch it anymore. It's all online. It's all EDI. On the other side of it, you've got people who don't actually know what they want or don't understand their business problem. And going back to what I was saying, there is a business problem or a value proposition that needs to be solved. And you need somebody in there who can do that investigation into the company to understand what their metrics are. So it's about profiling and segmenting your sales force to meet the customer base, which I'm sure Simon will tell you in a minute that he's segmented and profiled out. And that's where we do have to work together and build the sales team to align to the customer and market needs.
I think it's a good question. I think you've touched on a different subject, which is this is the future of retail. So if you look down, I used to work for Thomas Cook. When I was there sort of 5 or 6 years ago, people would generally come into the store, sit down with a sales consultant. They'd open line would be, I want to go somewhere hot. And they say, oh, okay, here we go, whatever, would you like to go to Mallorca or whatever, and talk them through, and they sit there for now and say, thanks very much, I'm off now. So, where are you going? I'm going to go back home now and book it online. Yeah, and that was the transition when I was there. So, now it's kind of, they've missed that out. They go into Google, I want to go somewhere hot. Yeah, and they get all the hits back. But I think that, this changing role of the salesman has changed completely. And I think, the point I've stressed several times this evening is around this cross-selling to existing customers. That's where I think salespeople should be absolutely in manna from heaven. They should be inside the customers, really knowing the opportunities, really talking to them about the soft side. The customers even know they've been sold to. But because they're great salesmen, because they know all the buttons are pressed, because they understand the customer, they understand the product they're selling or the service they're selling, it allows them just to build and build and build their portfolio. And then before you know it, you've actually got them stuck to you for life because they can't move away. But that's where I think sales needs to go, and that's where I really worry for the high street.
I'm going to actually be controversial. I'm going to take it away from all of it. And I wouldn't give it to marketing and I wouldn't give it to sales. I put it into a different area of sales. I put it into sales operations. People who are dedicated to maintaining the quality of the data. I think that's a key function of any business, to actually have that division who manage not only the customer data and the master data, because without that master data it is a mess, but also the product information. The bigger issue is how you've goaled and comped and measured your salespeople. And as you said, if you've put a barrier in there that drives the wrong behaviour, that is where it comes from. And as a sales director, you have to take accountability for that, because I'm the guy sitting there building the comp plans, working out the account engagement and how people are going to behave. And if I build a plan where some guy's going to manipulate the plan, and then I have a tool that allows him to manipulate the plan, which is why don't let sales run your tools. Let sales operations do it, because they're all about compliance and measurements and stats. If they've got a tool that will mandate it so you can't duplicate the data, that'll control it. But you've got to motivate the people to behave in the right way. Don't penalise someone because his account goes over. Reward him for it going over. You may have to take that account away from him next year and say, right, now we're going to move that account from where it is to a managed account or a major account. But if you do it right, you then either give that account manager some more accounts which make up his total quota, or you can motivate the sales guy by saying, okay, well, that's a really good job. You're really moving on. How about us moving you from being junior account manager to being a strategic accounts manager, because you're now building strategic accounts. So it's about the motivation, goaling, and how you structure it.
Again, another anecdote. Chief Executive Thomas Cook, when I first joined, his opening line to me on first day was, the role of market research is to teach you what I already know. And so I think the glib answer is, I think that a good insight team will take sources from a number of areas. So at Fujitsu, when I first joined, we used to spend all our money on analysts, on Gartner and Forrester and whatever. Now that's all very well. The problem is that so does HP and IBM and whatever. So all the research you've got is the same as all your competitors have got. So the first things that I did was invest money in our own primary research. So we actually got some real first-hand experience of what was really happening out there that our competitors didn't have. So I think my answer to the question is, I think you need a number of sources. You need a sales source. We use customer satisfaction studies as well to drive our insights. So to know what do people like or not like about us. What sectors are we seeing better in, not good in. We use win-loss data. Why have we won that day? Why have we lost that day? All of that goes in to one big team who analyse all of it to give us real insight in terms of how well we're doing, our strengths and our weaknesses, and the insight into a particular sector.